I don't think anything in life ever prepares you for the moment you realize the person you trusted most has been treating you like a damn fool. It started on a humid Thursday evening. I was tossing some groceries into the back of my wife's SUV, a white Jeep she loved more than anything, judging by how she treated it better than me lately. As I reached under the seat to pick up a spilled water bottle, my fingers brushed against something odd, something rubbery. I pulled it out, a used protection, still tied up like some disgusting trophy. My heart slammed against my ribs so hard I thought it might crack them. I stood there, frozen, while neighbors unloaded their cars just a few feet away, completely unaware that my life had just shattered into 1,000 sharp, bitter pieces. My wife, Maddie, as her friends liked to call her when they got drunk on cheap wine and pretended they were still in college, was inside the house, probably scrolling on her phone, smiling that fake, glossy smile she had perfected lately. I didn't storm inside. Not yet. I needed to be smart. If she was lying to me, and God, the evidence was practically screaming at me, I needed proof. Real proof. Something I could shove in her smug, cheating face. So I swallowed the nausea clawing up my throat, pocketed the disgusting evidence with 2 fingers, and made a plan. The first call I made was to my buddy Connor. He knew a private investigator, a no-nonsense guy named Rick who didn't mind getting his hands dirty. Within an hour, Rick was setting up tracking devices, putting a discreet little GPS under Maddie's Jeep, and preparing to follow her like a shadow. Meanwhile, I acted normal, played the dumb, doting husband. "Hey babe, wanna watch a movie tonight?" I'd say with a smile that nearly broke my face. "You've been so busy lately. I miss you." Busy, yeah. Busy getting raw-dogged in the backseat of her Jeep, apparently. Maddie would just flash me that tight, impatient smile and say she was tired, or had plans with her bestie, Lauren. Lauren. The same chick who thought open marriages were empowering and had been whispering poison into Maddie's ear for months. Figures. The worst part? Once you suspect, everything else lights up like neon signs. The late nights. The new lingerie she didn't even bother wearing for me. The sudden interest in spinning classes she never actually looked sweaty from. The way she kept her phone clutched tighter than a damn life raft. Rick was fast. Within 3 days he had photos, videos, receipts. I met him in a dingy diner off Route 5, where he slid a thick envelope across the table like we were in some spy movie. I opened it with shaking hands. There she was, my wife. Laughing too hard, touching some greasy-looking dude's arm, practically climbing into his lap at a downtown bar. Then later, the 2 of them tumbling into a motel that charged by the hour. The same Jeep I paid for sitting crooked in the parking lot. I felt like the floor dropped out from under me. Rick leaned back, sipping bad coffee, not saying a word. He didn't have to. The evidence was nuclear. I wasn't just paranoid. I was living with a snake who thought she was clever enough to never get caught. I thanked him, tossed a few bills on the table, and sat in my car afterward for a long time, just staring at the steering wheel. My hands itched to smash something. My chest burned with so much rage I thought it would boil over and choke me. But not yet. No. Maddie was going to feel this. I drove home on autopilot. She was there, curled up on the couch in yoga pants and a hoodie, pretending to watch some mindless reality show. "Hey babe," she chirped, barely glancing up. "You're home early." I forced a smile, feeling the envelope burn against my ribs from inside my jacket. "Yeah, thought we could spend some time together." She hummed non-committally and went back to scrolling on her phone. The sheer disrespect in that moment almost made me blow up right there. But I held it in, every muscle trembling, because she had no idea what was coming. No idea that by tomorrow morning, she would be served divorce papers so brutal she'd be lucky to crawl away with the clothes on her back. I sat down across from her, watching her, studying every little fake laugh, every flicker of her lying eyes. The countdown had started. And Maddie? She had no clue the bomb was already ticking. The next morning, I woke up before the sun, barely slept a damn hour. I watched her breathe next to me, all fake innocence and tangled hair. I used to love watching her sleep. Now it made my stomach turn. I showered, shaved, and dressed like it was war day. Because it was. I wore the shirt Maddie always said made me look too serious. Good. She was about to see serious. While she lazed in bed, thumbing through her phone, I brewed coffee and set the manila envelope right there on the kitchen counter. Center stage. Couldn't miss it. Then I waited. Morning, babe, Maddie said sweetly as she stumbled into the kitchen. Her voice still hoarse from sleep, or maybe from moaning somebody else's name the night before. Morning, I said flatly. Her eyes caught the envelope immediately. She froze for a heartbeat too long. Caught it. That slight hitch in her step. She knew. Deep down, she knew. What's that? She asked, trying to sound casual as she reached for her mug. I didn't answer. I just nodded at the envelope. Open it. She laughed. A short, nervous bark. What is this? Some surprise. You being dramatic again. Again. Like I was the unstable one here. With a careless hand, she tore it open. I watched her face crumble as the photos spilled onto the counter. Her grinding on some stranger, laughing, the seedy motel shots, the damning timestamp on every single frame. For a second, I swear the entire world stood still. Then Maddie's expression snapped from shocked to smug faster than flipping a switch. She shoved the photos away and crossed her arms like I had just accused her of stealing gum. So what? She sneered. You spying on me now? Real mature, Nick. I almost laughed. Actually, I think I did. A hollow, broken sound that scraped up from my chest. That's your response? I asked, voice low and shaking. I find out you're screwing around behind my back and you're mad that I caught you? She rolled her eyes so hard I thought they might get stuck. Maybe if you weren't so boring all the time, I wouldn't have had to find someone who actually knows how to have fun. The slap of her words hit harder than a punch. I stepped closer, the urge to scream burning up my throat. Fun? Crawling into cheap motels like some back alley hooker is your idea of fun. She shrugged, unfazed, picking at her nail polish like this conversation bored her. At least someone appreciates me. You sure as hell stopped a long time ago. It was surreal, like I was arguing with a cartoon villain. No remorse, no guilt, just pure venom wrapped in yoga pants. I took a breath. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of watching me fall apart. Madison? I said slowly, savoring the full weight of her name. You're a liar. You're a coward. And you're about to be my ex-wife. She smirked. Oh, you think it's going to be that easy? I already talked to a lawyer, I said, pulling out my phone and showing her the document I had queued up. Everything's ready. Divorce papers. And trust me, sweetheart, after what I have on you, you won't see a penny more than the absolute minimum. Her face twisted. For the first time, real fear flickered in her eyes. She opened her mouth, then snapped it shut. Good. She tried to pivot. Crocodile tears welled up instantly. Nick, wait. Can't we? Maybe we could work this out. I almost admired the performance. Academy Award level. No, I said simply. For a moment, the air between us buzzed. Heavy with all the unsaid things, all the wasted years, all the lies she spun like a damn spider. Maddie wiped her fake tears and instantly switched back to mean. Fine. I never loved you anyway. You're just a safe bet. A paycheck with a pulse. That one, I admit, sliced me clean through. But it also gave me exactly what I needed, the final nail in the coffin. I walked to the door, grabbing my keys, feeling lighter than I had in months. Don't bother packing. I'll have movers come get my stuff. You can rot in this house with your new fun. She screamed something after me as I slammed the door. Something about how she deserved better, how I was throwing away something real. Real? There wasn't a damn thing real about Madison anymore. Just a plastic soul wrapped in pretty lies. I got into my car and just sat there for a while, gripping the steering wheel, letting the cold air from the AC blast against my burning skin. The tears came then, quiet, sharp, ugly. Not for her. Not even for the marriage. For the man I used to be. The fool who believed in her. But no more. This was the first day of the rest of my life. And hell if I was going to waste another second on a woman like that I didn't drive home. I didn't even know where home was supposed to be anymore. My hands moved on instinct, steering me out of the suburbs, away from that godforsaken house where my life had been burned down without me even noticing. I pulled into a grimy bar just off the highway, the kind of place that didn't ask questions and didn't care if you drank your anger into oblivion. I sat at the end of the bar, nursing a whiskey, my reflection in the mirror behind the liquor bottles almost unrecognizable. I looked older, harder, like someone who had seen too much too fast. I wasn't even halfway through my second drink when my phone buzzed. It was a text. From Maddie. "You're overreacting. We can fix this. I made a mistake. Please come home." I stared at the screen, stunned at the gall, the pure audacity. As if I was the problem now because I refused to keep playing house while she lived a double life. I didn't respond. I wasn't going to feed her ego anymore. Let her stew in the silence she created. My fingers moved before my brain caught up. I found the number for the same private investigator who had gotten me the photos. If there was even a sliver of a doubt left, I wanted it crushed. I wanted to know everything. Every grimy little secret she thought she had hidden. The call was short, direct, professional. "Double-check her bank accounts," I said. "Her social media, her calls. I want everything." The PI, a guy named Mike, didn't even hesitate. "Give me 2 days," he said. I ended the call feeling more in control than I had in months. Maybe years. The next 2 days were hell. Maddie called. Maddie texted. Maddie even showed up at my workplace once, crying dramatically in the parking lot like a discount soap opera actress. I didn't give her a second glance. She wasn't my problem anymore. Then, right when the anxiety started chewing holes in my gut, Mike called. "You're gonna want to sit down for this," he said. I met him at the same coffee shop where we'd first talked. He handed me a second manila envelope, heavier this time. I opened it right there. Hotel receipts, credit card statements showing expensive dinners, lingerie stores, even payments to some sleazy-looking Airbnb rentals. Photos of Maddie kissing different guys, not just the one from before. 2, 3, for different men. She hadn't just cheated. She turned my entire marriage into a punchline. Mike tapped a page near the back. "And this," he said grimly, "is her friend Danielle, the one who introduced her to the idea of open marriages behind your back." I blinked. Danielle? Her bestie? The one always hyping her up to go on girls' trips and me-time weekends? Apparently, Danielle wasn't just empowering Maddie. She was running a damn pipeline of married women to sleazeball guys for kicks. It was all too much. The walls of the coffee shop seemed to tilt around me. The betrayal went deeper than I thought. It wasn't one mistake. It was a lifestyle. A second life, perfectly hidden until the mask slipped. I thanked Mike, paid him double what he asked, and left. I needed air, space, time to think about how I was going to destroy the rest of the fantasy Maddie still thought she could crawl back to. I wasn't just going to divorce her. I was going to burn down the fake little empire she built on my trust. First, I called the lawyer. We added adultery to the official cause of divorce. With the evidence Mike gathered, Maddie wouldn't see a dime more than she legally had to. No alimony. No cushy settlement. The house? Staying in my name. The car? Hers, but with the loans attached. Good luck, sweetheart. Second, I changed all my passwords, locked down my bank accounts, froze the credit cards she had access to. The financial leash was off and I was yanking it hard. Third, and this was petty, but it felt damn good, I texted Danielle. "Thanks for inspiring Maddie. She's your problem now. Hope you two enjoy the wreckage." No response. No surprise. Finally, I packed my essentials and checked into a hotel downtown. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. Nobody else's lies stank up the sheets. When Maddie finally realized the well was dry, the keys didn't work, and the movers had come and gone with all my stuff, she went nuclear. Screaming voicemails, threatening texts, sob stories about how we were supposed to be forever. Forever. She didn't even know what the word meant. Sitting there in my crappy hotel room, eating greasy pizza straight from the box and watching some mindless TV show, I realized something. I didn't miss her. I missed the version of her I thought I knew. The real Maddie? The snake underneath the skin? She could rot. A week later, the court date was set. Maddie tried everything to delay it. Her lawyer, some rookie her friend Danielle must have recommended, filed useless motions, begged for extensions, even tried to argue that my evidence was obtained illegally. It was pathetic. My lawyer, though, wasn't some soft pushover. His name was Andrew Cole, and he was a predator in a suit. The kind of guy who smiled politely in the hallway, then gutted you alive in the courtroom. I didn't care what he cost. Every dollar was worth it. The morning of the hearing, Maddie had the audacity to walk up to me outside the courthouse. She was wearing this tight black dress like she was auditioning for sympathy. Fake tears glossed her eyes as she stammered out, "Nick, please. We can fix this. We can go to counseling." I stared at her. No anger, no hate, just cold detachment. "You killed it," I said flatly. "You don't resurrect the dead." For a split second, I saw the real Maddie. The sneer, the venom. Then she switched back to the tearful act as a group of people walked by, like she was trying to collect witnesses for her own sob story. Inside the courtroom, everything moved fast. Maddie's lawyer tried to paint me as neglectful, emotionally distant, throwing every cliché in the book. I didn't flinch. I didn't have to. Andrew dropped the evidence packet like a nuclear bomb onto the judge's bench. Photos, texts, receipts. The judge's face hardened within minutes. Maddie tried to argue, tried to cry, tried to talk about empowerment and how her friends had encouraged her to explore herself because she felt stifled in our marriage. Translation: she got bored of loyalty and wanted a buffet of backseat romps. I could barely keep a straight face when her lawyer said she deserved half of everything. The judge didn't buy a word of it. Not a single penny of spousal support. She was lucky she wasn't getting sued for emotional damages. When the gavel slammed down, it felt like a guillotine. Divorced. Final. Clean. Or at least as clean as betrayal could ever be. Outside the courthouse, Maddie followed me again. No cameras. No crowd. This time she dropped the fake innocence. "You think you're better than me?" she hissed. "You're just a boring little man who couldn't keep me interested." There it was. The truth she had been swallowing all along. I laughed. Honest to God. Belly laughed right in her face. People stared. I didn't care. "You think it matters now?" I said, shaking my head. "You're nothing, Maddie. A memory with a bad aftertaste." She opened her mouth to spit more poison, but I didn't stay to listen. I walked away, free in a way I hadn't felt since I first put that stupid ring on her finger. I didn't go back to the hotel. I didn't even go back to the town. I had already sold the house through a quick sale company, pocketed a modest sum, and packed up my real life into the back of a rented SUV. I was done. By midnight, I was 2 states over, windows down, music blasting, feeling more alive than I had in a decade. I didn't tell anyone at first. Friends texted. Some even called. Maddie had clearly been spinning her version of events, painting herself as the wronged woman, crying about abandonment. Typical. But the truth had a funny way of slipping out. One of our mutual friends, Jason, called me late one night. "Dude," he said, his voice thick with disbelief. "I just found out. I'm so sorry, man. Maddie, she's not even hiding it anymore. She's out every night with random guys." I thanked him, but I didn't need confirmation. I already knew who she really was. The new apartment I found was small, barely furnished, but it was mine. The first night there, I lay on the mattress on the floor, staring up at the ceiling, feeling the strange kind of emptiness that wasn't sad. Just clean, like breathing fresh air after being trapped in a moldy room for years. Maddie texted a few more times. I never responded. Each message was a pitiful mix of insults and begging. "You're nothing without me. I made one mistake. You'll regret this when you're old and alone." Nah. I regretted every day I wasted thinking she loved me. One evening, about a month after the court date, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a wedding photo, me and Maddie, smiling wide-eyed and stupid. She had slashed the photo down the middle right through my face. Should have made me mad. Instead, It made me laugh again, harder than before, because it meant she cared enough to hate me. And I didn't feel a damn thing anymore. Summer bled into fall, and the leaves changed faster than I ever thought my life could. I rebuilt everything from scratch. New job, new hobbies, new friends. I started running again. Something Maddie always mocked me for, calling it pointless unless you're being chased. But every mile I logged felt like burning a little more of her memory away. There were nights, sure, when the loneliness hit like a freight train. You don't spend a decade with someone and just erase it clean. But it wasn't her I missed. It was the illusion. The idea of who I thought she was. The woman who smiled at me across candlelit tables. The woman who once said, "We're a team, Nick. Always." Turns out we were a team. Until she decided she was the MVP and I was just the idiot keeping score. I bumped into an old friend from college one night at a coffee shop. Taylor. She always had this wild, untamed kind of energy. We got to talking. No pressure. No expectations. She laughed at my jokes. Actually listened when I spoke. It felt like remembering how to breathe after forgetting for years. I told her about Maddie eventually. Didn't sugarcoat it. Taylor leaned back, took a sip of her coffee and said, "She didn't break you. She set you free." Simple words. But damn, they stuck with me. One evening, about 6 months post-divorce, I heard through the grapevine Maddie had moved back in with her parents. Lost her job. Her little parade of hookups had dried up. Even her precious friend Danielle had ghosted her when the money and drama ran out. Poetic. I didn't celebrate it. I didn't throw a party. I didn't even gloat. I just shrugged. Karma didn't always come on schedule, but when it arrived, it usually delivered better than anything you could plan. There's this myth, that closure is some big moment, some tearful conversation or final apology. It's not. Closure is when you realize you don't want or need anything from them anymore. Not an explanation. Not a sorry. Not even revenge. One Saturday, I found myself standing in the middle of a farmer's market, sun on my face, fresh coffee in my hand, watching families and couples and little kids running around. For the first time in years, I felt a simple, overwhelming thing. Peace. That's when I realized Maddie never had the power she thought she did. She could cheat. She could lie. She could spit every nasty word at me. But she couldn't touch this part of me she never understood. The part that could love deeply, fiercely, and honestly. She couldn't break it. She never even scratched it. I thought about writing a letter once. Not to her, to myself. A way to seal it off for good. Something like, "Dear Nick, you deserved better. You gave love to someone who was too broken to receive it. Her betrayal wasn't a reflection of your worth, but of her emptiness. Forgive yourself for loving the wrong person. Thank her for showing you what real strength looks like. Move forward. You've earned it. I never mailed it. I didn't need to. It was enough to know. If you're reading this, if you've been gutted by someone you trusted, someone you swore had your back, let me tell you something they won't teach you in the feel-good movies. You will hurt. You will rage. You will break in places you didn't know existed. And then you will rebuild. Stronger. Wiser. Sharper. They didn't ruin you. They revealed you. One day you'll wake up, and the air will feel different. Lighter. Like you're carrying only your own soul again. Not their lies. Not their weight. Not their damage. And you'll realize, freedom was never about walking away from them. It was about coming back home to yourself. That's the real victory. Not making them jealous. Not proving them wrong. Just standing tall. Breathing deep. Smiling, not because you won something, but because you finally lost what was poisoning you. Maddie was my lesson. A brutal, savage, necessary one. And I wouldn't undo it even if I could. Because it led me here. Alive. Free. Unapologetically me. Sometimes late at night, I still caught my mind wandering. Not to her, not anymore, but to the version of myself that stayed too long. The man who saw the signs, heard the lies, felt the distance, and still kept hoping she'd turn around. God, it was almost embarrassing how stubbornly I clung to hope. But that's the thing they don't tell you, hope can be its own kind of prison. I saw it now with crystal clarity. Every time she stayed out late and gave some half-baked excuse about girls' night or work drinks, I swallowed my instincts and chose to believe her. Every moment she pulled away and blamed stress or being tired, I chalked it up to life getting in the way, not that she was giving herself to someone else behind my back. I wasn't stupid. I was loyal. There's a difference. One morning, months after everything had unraveled, I went through some old boxes. Wedding stuff, mementos, dusty photo albums shoved into the back of the closet. Part of me wanted to toss it all into a bonfire, but I didn't. Instead, I flipped through the memories like a man studying crime scene photos, looking for the clues he missed. Our wedding picture. There she was, Maddie, beaming like the world revolved around her. Me, looking at her like she hung the damn stars. What a fool. I caught myself laughing, dry and bitter, not because it was funny, but because sometimes laughter is all that stands between you and losing your mind. I shoved the album back into the box and sealed it shut. Not out of anger, out of mercy. That man in the photo deserved peace. He deserved to be laid to rest, just like the dead thing our marriage had become long before I had the guts to see it. That night, I met up with Taylor again. She'd become this steady presence in my life, not a replacement for Maddie, but proof that connection didn't have to come with lies sewn into every conversation. We sat on the hood of my truck, drinking cheap beers and staring up at the stars. Taylor nudged me at one point and said, "You're quiet tonight." I shrugged. "Just thinking. About her. About me," I corrected. "About how easy it is to lose yourself trying to save someone who doesn't even want to be saved." She didn't say anything, just nodded like she understood. Because she did. Some people get it without you having to spell it out. I told her then, not about the affair or the protection I found or the nuclear fallout that followed, but about the slow rot, the erosion of trust, the 1,000 tiny cuts that bled me dry before the knife finally fell. And Taylor said something that hit me so hard I swear I felt it in my bones. Love doesn't ask you to die a little every day. I don't know why, but that was the moment the last of it broke free. All the guilt, all the shame, all the quiet, gnawing belief that maybe I was the reason Maddie cheated. That if I'd been better, different, more, she would have stayed. Gone. Like smoke in the night. And in its place was something fierce and clean. I wasn't perfect. God knows I had my flaws. But I loved her with everything I had. I stayed loyal when she treated me like an option. I stayed kind when she gave me nothing but contempt. I fought for us when she was already off building something with someone else. She didn't cheat because I lacked something. She cheated because she did. Broken people break others when they don't want to face their own damage. And somehow, against all odds, I survived it. Stronger, smarter, a hell of a lot more awake. In the weeks that followed, I started rebuilding more seriously. I redecorated the house, painted the walls, donated every single piece of furniture she'd picked out to charity. I even bought a dog. A big, slobbering mutt named Duke who immediately claimed the bed as his own. Life wasn't perfect. It wasn't some glossy movie ending where everything ties up neatly with a bow. It was messy. It was hard. It was real. But it was mine. And damn, after all that time living in a lie, mine felt like the most beautiful thing in the world. One rainy Sunday, as Duke snored beside me and Taylor sent a dumb meme to my phone that made me laugh harder than I had in months, I realized something simple but powerful. Happiness isn't something you find in another person. It's something you choose, moment by moment, even when the rain's coming down and the world feels unfair. You choose it anyway. You fight for it. Not by begging someone else to love you right, but by loving yourself enough to walk away when they don't. That's the real revenge. Not bitterness. Not rage. Not making them miss you or see you winning. It's healing. Quietly. Steadily. Without asking for permission or needing applause. Healing is the revenge they'll never see coming. And brother, it's sweeter than any lie they ever told. A few months later, Maddie tried reaching out. It was a Tuesday night. I remember because Duke had just dragged half a loaf of bread off the kitchen counter and shredded it all over the floor. I was swearing and laughing at the same time when my phone buzzed. Her name lit up the screen like a ghost rising from the grave. I stared at it for a long minute, that strange cocktail of emotions bubbling up. Not love, not anger, just disbelief that she still thought she had a place here. I let it ring out. Then another text came through. Can we talk? I miss you. Miss me? Miss the guy who paid the mortgage while she was hooking up with strangers behind my back? Miss the man she gaslit until he thought he was going insane? I almost deleted it without replying. Almost. But then a darker part of me, the part that remembered every lie, every sneer, every night spent wondering why I felt so damn alone in my own house, decided she deserved an answer. I typed back, talk to the guy you opened your legs for. I'm busy living. Blocked her. Deleted the thread. Let the satisfaction settle in my bones like a warm drink on a cold night. It wasn't about getting revenge anymore. It wasn't even about her. It was about standing tall in a life I built for myself, free of her poison. I didn't tell Taylor about it right away. Not because I was hiding anything, but because it didn't feel important. Maddie had shriveled down to a cautionary tale in my past. Not a real person anymore. Just a reminder of what happens when you ignore your own worth for too long. But a few days later, over coffee, Taylor asked, "You okay? You've been quieter." I shrugged. She reached out. Her eyebrows lifted. "What did you say?" Told her to find her entertainment elsewhere. Taylor smiled. This slow, proud, almost wicked smile that made my chest tighten in the best way. "Good," she said. "She doesn't deserve a second of your breath." And for the first time in a long time, I truly believed that. Life rolled on. Not perfect, not easy, but real. I threw myself into my work, picked up new hobbies, learned to cook something besides frozen pizza. Duke and I developed this language of our own. He always knew when to nudge my hand when the memories crept too close. Taylor and I didn't rush anything. She had her own scars. I had mine. We weren't trying to fill holes, just two people building something honest from the ground up. One night, months down the line, we were out on a hiking trail, the sun bleeding gold across the sky. Taylor tripped over a rock and went down hard, cursing and laughing at the same time. I reached for her instinctively, catching her by the wrist and pulling her up. She looked at me then, hair wild, cheeks flushed, and something shifted between us. Not new, not sudden, but solid. "I'm not broken," she said, half smiling, half daring me to argue. "I know," I said. "Neither am I." And that was it. No grand declarations. No fireworks. Just truth, simple and fierce. Later that night, lying in bed with Duke hogging the space between us, I realized something else. Something I wished I could carve into stone and mail to every man who ever stood in the wreckage of betrayal, wondering if he was enough. You don't have to fix what someone else broke. You don't have to carry their mess on your back like some punishment. You just have to heal yourself, piece by stubborn piece. Even if it's slow, even if it hurts like hell, even if no one claps for you when you do it. Especially then. There was a time when Maddie's betrayal felt like the end of my story. Now I saw it for what it really was, a violent, painful, necessary rebirth. She ripped the blindfold off. She forced me to see what I was settling for, and to walk away from it with nothing but my pride and my dog. And you know what? That was enough. More than enough. In the end, the real victory wasn't proving her wrong or making her regret losing me. It was reclaiming myself. Fully. Unapologetically. Fiercely. Standing there at the edge of my new life, sun sinking into the trees, a woman who respected me at my side, and a dog who thought I hung the moon. I realized I didn't need her apology. I didn't need her regret. I didn't need anything from her. I had myself, and that was everything. About a month after that hike with Taylor, Maddie tried one last time. Not a text, not a call. She showed up. At my place. Middle of the afternoon, no warning. I was in the garage fixing the brakes on my truck when I heard the crunch of tires on gravel. Duke barked once. Sharp, unsure. And when I stepped outside, there she was. Maddie, standing there in jeans too tight for the weather, arms crossed, sunglasses hiding her eyes. For a second, I just stared at her, feeling nothing. No rush of anger, no heartbreak, No longing, just pure, icy indifference. She shifted, uncomfortable when I didn't say anything first. Finally, she pulled off her sunglasses and tried on a brittle smile. "You look good, Adam." I wiped my hands on a rag. "What do you want?" She pouted like it was a game, like she didn't remember why she had no right to stand on my property ever again. "I just thought maybe we could talk. Catch up." Catch up? Was she insane? "About what?" I asked. "Your new open lifestyle? How you traded a home for hotel rooms and back seats." Her face twisted. That same smug, nasty look she always wore when she didn't get her way. "You're still bitter. That's pathetic, Adam." "No," I said calmly. "What's pathetic is a woman who had everything she claimed she wanted, and still needed attention from strangers to feel alive." I turned back to my truck, dismissing her like she didn't matter, because she didn't. "Taylor's a rebound," Maddie hissed. "You're just scared to be alone." I laughed. Actually laughed. A low, real sound that felt like it cracked something final between us. I turned to face her one last time. "Taylor is a woman who knows loyalty isn't optional," I said. "Unlike you." Maddie's mouth opened, like she wanted to fire something cruel back, but she must have seen it, the way the door was already shut in my heart. She left without another word. That night, I sat on my porch with Duke curled at my feet and thought about how far I'd come. Not just from Maddie. From the man who used to believe love meant sacrificing your dignity to keep someone else happy. I wasn't that man anymore. I didn't need chaos disguised as passion. I didn't need lies wrapped in pretty words. I didn't need to fight for a love that needed excuses to survive. Taylor came over later, carrying takeout and a stack of old movies. She curled up beside me without needing to fill the silence with pointless chatter, just being there solid and real. Halfway through some cheesy action flick, she glanced over at me. "You good?" she asked. I nodded. "I'm better than good." And I meant it. Not because of her. Not because of any woman. Because of me. Because I'd chosen myself when it mattered most. The final nail in Maddie's coffin didn't come from shouting matches or revenge schemes. Came from living well. From moving forward. From refusing to let her betrayal define what kind of man I was going to be. And if I could say anything to the guy I used to be, the one who lay awake wondering why he wasn't enough, I'd tell him this: you were always enough. She wasn't. And thank God she showed you that before you wasted another year trying to fix what was never broken in you to begin with. Closure doesn't come wrapped up in apologies or confessions. It comes the moment you realize you don't need either. It's in the quiet after the storm. It's in the peace of a life you choose, not the one you settle for. It's in the laughter that doesn't feel forced anymore. It's in the freedom of waking up without a pit in your stomach, wondering what lie you'll be fed today. It's in knowing you survived what tried to break you, and came out the other side sharper, smarter, and stronger. Maddie was a lesson, not a loss. And as the credits rolled and Taylor's head rested against my shoulder, I let that final truth settle into my bones. Some betrayals aren't the end of the world. They're the start of a better one. A world where you know your worth, where you demand better, where you never apologize for expecting loyalty, respect, and love without conditions. I lost a liar. I found myself. And damn, that was the best deal I ever made.